Good evening. The regular meeting of Lakewood City Council for October 16th, 2023 is hereby called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. We will now pause for a moment of silence. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Baker,
Here.
Bullock,
Here.
Keppel,
Here.
Litton,
Here.
Marks, absent, Rader, absent, Shackner.
Here. Move to excuse the absences of council members Marks and Rader.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Reading and disposal of the minutes of the regular meeting of council held October 2nd, 2023.
Move to dispose without the necessity of a reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. And with that, I'd like to move to, and this is perhaps a rare occurrence, but I'd like to move to amend tonight's agenda by adding two items to the two docket items, items 18 and 19. 18 being communication from Human Services Director Barry regarding Title III of the Older Americans Act, and item 19 being Resolution 2023-54 that relates to that communication.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. Item 1.
Item 1, report from Housing, Planning, and Development Committee regarding meeting held October 16th, 2023.
Chairman Bullock.
Thanks, Mr. President. The Housing Committee met tonight and discussed two items. One was a report and an analysis by the Lincoln Institute and the Georgia administration and Greater Ohio and one other partner in analyzing affordable housing in our community and trends driving changes in supply and price, and teeing up potential policy options for us to try to improve affordable housing access over the coming years. So we had an in-depth and thoughtful discussion with all committee members, and also Councilman Baker was here participating as well. We appreciated that discussion. It leads to a couple of follow-up points to be pursued in the coming months. We also briefly discussed, but didn't take final action on, Ordinance 20-2023, which follows this on the agenda. However, we have that noticed for a committee hearing next Monday, the 23rd. So we'll, I'm sure, conclude our work on that ordinance before our next council meeting. Move to receive and file that oral report.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 2, ordinance 20-2023, an ordinance to take effect immediately, authorizing and directing the Director of Planning and Development or the mayor to enter into an agreement with a licensed real estate broker to market for sale various real properties pursuant to Section 15507 of the codified ordinances.
Move to defer.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 3, report from Public Safety Committee regarding meeting held October 16th, 2023.
Chairman Baker.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had the Public Safety Committee meeting this evening, whereby Captain Eschweiler was here on behalf of the Police Department, as well as Animal Control Officer Crawford, to discuss a resolution to increase adoption fees for cats, kittens, dogs, and puppies. It was a good discussion. The resolution was also referred to LASWAB, and they are still kind of formulating their response to that, to the resolution. They meet again this week, but we did have a representative from LASWAB here, Chair Erin McDonald, and she had some questions about segregation of funds and some of the other particulars of the adoption fee. We had a good discussion on the floor and ultimately amended the resolution to allow for the adoption fee to be codified as no more than, to allow for the animal control officer to give essentially discounts to folks to adopt more than one animal, a little more flexibility. And we favorably referred the amended ordinance or amended resolution out of committee, and then we'll await, but we would ask that the resolution be deferred tonight so we can await LASWAB's final kind of comments on it later this week and consider it at the next full council meeting. And that is the committee report.
Move to receive and file that report.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. President?
Vice President Keppel.
Thank you. I just wanted to make one quick comment. We kind of ran out of time in committee for that, but as we were having that discussion, we talked about where those funds go, and currently the thought process from the administration is that they go into the general fund, which is, maybe the best plan or not, but I would be interested, as we have these conversations about fees, whether it's pool pass fees or animal adoption fees or building department fees or anything, we usually have it in the context of the cost of providing the service or, and it's not usually on the taxpayer or the user to pay for all of the cost through that fee. It's usually subsidizing with general fund revenue. But I would be very interested as we have those conversations to look at what is the cost of operating these things. So like when the schools were here talking about the pools, I was asking how much does it actually cost to run the pool? And I would be curious for a little bit more detailed analysis about the cost of running the shelter as we look for those fees. Would not advocate or am I asking for those fees to be raised to a level where the adoption fees would cover the cost of running the shelter, because that would be astronomical. So, but I'm just curious about what that is. So that's just a comment for moving forward. Looking forward to some more information about the cost of running the shelter. Thanks.
Thank you. On the motion to receive and file, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 4, Resolution 2023-43, a resolution to take effect immediately to increase the adoption fees for animals that are adopted through the Lakewood Animal Shelter.
Move to defer.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 5, communication from President Litton regarding recodification ordinance.
Given the somewhat ministerial nature of this action, I'm not going to read the entire communication verbatim, other than to say that this is our somewhat regular quarterly, triannually recodification of our ordinances. So I'll move to receive and file that this communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 6, Ordinance 21, 2023, an ordinance to take effect immediately to approve the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as parts of the various component codes of the codified ordinances and to provide for the publication of such new matter.
Move to defer.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes.
Item 7, communication from Director Rankator regarding future safety equipment needs.
Director Rankator.
President Litton and members of council, we're requesting authorization to commit to the purchase of vital safety equipment for our fire department that is not slated to arrive until late 2024 and 2026 if ordered today. Based on the payment requirements, this will result in over $700,000 of total funding commitments over the following fiscal years, 2023 through 2026. These payments include down payments, work-in-process payments, and the final payment upon delivery of the safety equipment. Our desire to commit to these purchases is threefold. These items are planned as part of future budgets and require a commitment. In a normal economy, we could place an order and receive the equipment timely in the same fiscal year. However, estimated delivery for this critical equipment is months, or in the case of the ambulance, years away. This commitment reserves us a place in line for this vital equipment. 2, we protect ourselves against future price increases. This economy is experiencing inflationary pressures unseen in generations. By committing now, we can lock in a price that protects ourselves against the future increases for these major purchases. 3, we keep Lakewood citizens safe by updating aging safety equipment for our first responders so they are provided with modern equipment that protects the general health and welfare of the community when our citizens need it most. Our price quote for the ambulance is good for 30 days. We requested and were granted an extension to November 7th if you care to deliberate on the topic. However, my discussions with Chief Dunphy are that we would like this passed as an emergency measure tonight. The price quote for the boat is good through December 31st. The boat will not arrive until late 2024, and the ambulance will not be here until 2026. To receive the equipment at today's prices and establish our place in line as we wait for this critical equipment, we ask that you pass this legislation tonight. And if you care to discuss any of the costs for the ambulance, I know that the cost would be spread under 2 fiscal years, 2024 and as projected, 2026. So we're at approximately $52,000 would be the cost in 2024 and $335,000 roughly in 2026. For the boat, we are looking at $130,000 in 2023, so that would go out this year, and $194,000 in 2024. And that's spread amongst 2 payments. So the boat will have a work-in-process payment and then the final payment upon delivery. So we do have to make a down payment for that. And yeah, this is in excess, and there's a spreadsheet right there that kind of outlines it. Thank you, Clerk Bach, for putting that up there. And that kind of outlines what that would look like over the next couple of years. It is possible that that second payment for the boat in 2024, if it's not completed when they think it might, could flow into 2025. So over this period, 2023 through 2026, I think the spreadsheet kind of gives you an outlook of what would be projected as the costs for each of those years we are committing to this equipment for the future years. And, you know, it does, of course, have an impact in our capital budget for those years because we're committing to that now.
Thank you. First, I'll move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded, and then anticipating some discussion on this matter, particularly given the request to adopt this evening. Colleagues, any questions?
Yeah, Mr. President,
Councilman Bullock.
thanks for the discussion. We need a deliberation on this because what we don't have here is the context of the full fleet and capital plan for the fire department. It's certainly a fine thing to understand that we want an ambulance, but what I don't have at my fingertips is how many ambulances do we have, what's our regular replacement schedule, what are the funding sources from which we're going to pay for these. In the past, Director Rancourt's been leases, I believe, as opposed to, you know, I guess I need a refresher on the financial planning and sources. If I follow this correctly, what you're attempting to do is lock in today's prices and also a place in line, and that's certainly worth our consideration. I'm glad that you're saying that we can come back at the November 6th meeting. But to pull 1 or 2 pieces of equipment out of the bigger picture when we're about to embark on a regular budget process, to me, is insufficient, because we need to know the total price of equipment. We need to know the schedule of that equipment, the normal ordering, and we don't have that context here tonight. In addition, this is a long-discussed item. Have we looked at alternative fuels for the ambulance at least, if not the vehicle on the boat? And if we haven't, what's our plan? If we think we can't get it done for this vehicle, what's our plan to get it done for the next vehicle? Do we have any of those answers? I don't expect you to have that necessarily tonight, but that's exactly the kind of reason why I'd like a more robust discussion. City council is often asked to say, all right, is this thing important? Sure, this piece is important, but usually to make an effective decision, we need the piece of the puzzle in context. And so that's what I'm trying to describe here is, how does this non-trivial amount of funding fit into the bigger picture? Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, colleagues? I have one question, at least initially, and I suppose it's for Director Enketer first. Is this replacing anything else in line, so to speak, in the capital budget, i.e., will the capital budget presented to council as part of our budgeting process change materially because of this request, or would it have?
Mr. President, I don't believe it would change materially. These are things that are planned for in the budget, but we won't get those items if we don't order them now in that capital budget. So what would happen is we'd have to kind of kick the can down the road for the fire department and tell them, no, you can't have the boat this year, or no, you can't have that equipment in 2026 because, there's no way that we're going to get it. So what the fire department has done over the years is provided finance with basically their own capital plan, so they have it listed out there and with all their different equipment. And if you recall, in 2022, I believe it was, we came to you with a similar request for an ambulance, another ambulance. So we still have not received that ambulance that we asked for last year, and Chief Dunphy will probably be able to tell you in more detail where that is in terms of the production of it. But I know he can also speak as to the suitability of them being on the road. So I think I would pass those over to him. But definitely, these are they're major purchases, of course. Ambulances are expensive. The boat's expensive, and we really just need to reserve our place so that we are able to get these on time when we need it, and we don't want the vehicles that we have to be broken down.
Thank you. Chief Dunphy, good evening. Might you be able to provide some context within, to place these purchases within, for our understanding?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to the ambulance, and I understand your point of wanting to know a lot more information, Councilman Bullock through the chair. We have been rotating ambulances every 3 years. We order one. We have 5 ambulances in the department. There's a lot of information regarding, the different equipment that we have, but this is not something that's new. The only thing that's new and different right now in our world, not only in the fire department, but also in the fleet department and police department, is that our world has changed when it comes to ordering vehicles and big purchase items, because we used to be able to order an item, budget for it for the next year, order it at the beginning of the year, and receive it before the end of the fiscal year, and we simply no longer can do that. And in order to stay in a rotation where you're maintaining your fleet and your equipment in good standing, you need to sometimes purchase ahead. We purchased a vehicle in 2022 that's going to come in 2024. We had to come to council for that legislation to ask for that pre-approval type of situation, and that's what we're doing basically with this one. In regards to the boat, we have kicked the can down the road since 2021 or 22, I believe, is when we were going to budget for it in 21, replace it in 22. And we, you know, we pushed it down a little bit. Well, our last quote we had was, last year's quote was $260,000, and now we're already looking at, you know, $334. So I don't see the prices of these going down anytime soon, and I think it is responsible, fiscally responsible, to try to stay ahead of that. And if we need to make these moves now, even though we're not going to get the equipment until later, we need to do that. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves in a situation where our current situation of our boat is in need of major repair. It's really 2 years past where it should be. So I don't know if, you know, how we would go about getting all this, whatever additional information council would need. I mean, we do have, like Director Rankator said, a budget worked out. We do that somewhat, you know, internally, and we run it out to, I think the last year I looked at it, it's up to 2035 right now, 2034. And it's not in stone, so it's not something that is, you know, it's just a projection. We cover that with turnout gear, all major purchases through the department. Because, as you know, our purchases are expensive.
Are you going to be here in 2034 to see this
I
plan through?
I don't think so.
Nor I. Any further questions, colleagues? Vice President Keppel.
Thank you. Thanks, and it's expensive, but you guys are worth it. But I had a couple thoughts. One is, I would love to see that projection, just to have an idea of where you envision the department going, even after you leave us. But I would also am thinking through this is also, so I know Councilman Rader had the boat as one of his budget priorities, and we had some conversation in Finance Committee regarding the boat specifically, about the potential for, whether there was potential for that to be powered by clean fuel. And I don't know if that has been investigated at all, or where that is. I know that was one of the things he brought up, and I think Councilman Bullock, we were talking about that in finance also. So has that been looked at? Do we know what type of boat we'd be looking at?
Currently, we would be looking at a fuel vessel. The electric vessels in the marine industry are far behind automotive at this point. So there's just not a market yet for that. I'm sure you can, you know, I don't even know if they make one that would meet our needs. So all the safety boats that we looked at, none of them offered that at this point.
And Mr. President, if I can. And the same with the ambulance, or is there an opportunity there?
Ambulances are still the same. They are on the cusp of starting to move to some EV equipment. I know there's fire trucks out there, and but the reliability of them, talking with our fleet department, and you know, again, that's another item that just isn't near an industry standard yet. And I think the concern with them is the reliability. And there's one place that we're not going to take a risk on reliability, and that's when we're having to transport somebody to a hospital. So,
Mr. President. Councilman Bullock.
How do we know that, Chief?
how do we know what?
How do we know about reliability concerns? Is there an analysis that you're basing that on?
No, this is based on information I talked with the fleet department
Okay,
about.
so if we're ever going to make progress on the directive from City Council that the fleet become transition to alternative fuels, doesn't have to be electric, there's also propane, there's also natural gas, there's other fuels, then the analysis has to be taken seriously and elevated. And now there's a directive in the Climate Action Plan, the gentleman sitting to your left, spearheaded. So if we don't put in the work and the analysis, we're never going to make progress. And it's a malinvestment if we miss the opportunity, if we spend $710,000 and a half on two pieces of equipment that are going to be in service for many years and miss an opportunity to invest in an alternative because we haven't done the analysis, then that's a missed opportunity. And not only that, it's a malinvestment, as is called out in the Climate Action Plan. I would be surprised if there's a boat today, but there should be ambulances today. But this is a perfect example of why I don't want to do first reading approvals of vehicle fleet decisions, especially out of context. And an internal capital plan that the fire department develops is a public document. We should have a public deliberation about it. Thank you.
I did note and appreciate the extension being filed to allow for some time for council to deliberate. Any further questions? All right, we're still, oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Baker.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'm struggling with this. I'm mindful of, I want our public safety forces to have what they need. I want our public to be able to be served by, a fleet that is up to date. I am a little hesitant, to approve, $750,000 on first reading, so that's where I'm at. And I've heard, Director Rankator and Chief Dunphy explain kind of why we want to order it soon. And I am, because I have different kind of questions about it, the boat versus the ambulance. I would like to see kind of some sort of fleet analysis with the ambulances, understanding that we lease some, we own some, kind of what's the plan. I think that that's just good planning. On the boat, I see the advantage of it, of getting our price in. It is a lot, though. That's why I'm mindful of what, is there a detriment, and perhaps Chief Dunphy or Director Rankator can answer that. If we don't pass this tonight, does it hurt the city if it's passed on November 6th? And if so, how?
If we can obtain the same price from a financial standpoint, we're okay. So that's why we got the extension. We did want you to be able to have time to discuss it if you needed to. It is something we definitely have a priority for, to be able to keep our safety forces with the best equipment for our citizens.
Very good. So it sounds to me like waiting a little bit is okay, and we're only in discussion of the communication at this time. But I'll make a personal commitment that we vote on this by the 6th, and up or down one way or the other, just so that we are able to move forward as a city on this. I'm committed to our safety forces having the equipment that they need. If my colleagues desire a little more analysis to help us get there, then we'll take the time to do that. I think there's some time potentially on the 30th, or it could be added to finance on the 23rd. So we have some room to add this to our meeting agendas. Chief Dunphy.
Mr. President, thank you. I think I sent an email to everybody, regarding that if there are so many questions or anything, we are, as long as we don't, the city, when I say we, I mean everybody, that we don't lose another opportunity to save the money and the place in line. And it sounds like the 7th, I think, is the cutoff. So if, technically speaking, there would be enough time to go and I would be certainly happy to give you any information, especially regarding any additional analysis to the opportunity to investigate electric rescue boats and ambulances. Um, I just didn't want to see us lose the opportunity to save the money for the city and also a place in line.
Then I might, thank you, Chief. I might say then to my colleagues, can we by like Wednesday of this week put requests for what we would be looking for individually via email to both the Finance Department and the Fire Department for the sake of our understanding on this topic?
Mr. President?
Seeing nods, but Vice President Keppel, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think, you know, it's just taking this in the context of the broader budget issues, how we allocating where affects other things, as well as the same thing we've talked a little bit with like the climate action plan, and I think this would probably touch on Director Gordon's territory too, is with the entire fleet, is if we necessarily, if there are not electric opportunities here for the fire department, where can we find those opportunities with other vehicles so that we manage our sort of carbon budget as well as our financial budget? So, but I will be happy to send those questions in writing for whichever committee we refer the actual resolution to.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion to receive and file Director Rankatore's communication? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 8, Resolution 2023-49, a resolution to take effect immediately approving the ordering of an ambulance for delivery in 2026 and a boat for the Division of Fire for delivery in 2024, and committing to including the purchase of those items in the respective budgets.
I will move to refer this to Finance Committee.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Sorry, Chairman Schechner. You've still got a full docket. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. And for everybody's understanding, that Finance Committee meets next on the 23rd, just so that we have about a week to prepare for that, for everybody's understanding on this topic. Thank you.
Item 9, communication from Director Gordon regarding the Cliff Outfalls rehabilitation.
Director Gordon.
Thank you. Dear President Linton, members of City Council, excuse me, the above referenced project entails the design and permitting required for the rehabilitation of outfalls at Cliff Drive. The attached resolution is required in order to move forward with a portion of the project's funding. The city has secured $287,794.11 in funding through the BRIC grant program. The city's portion is $95,931.37. Please see the attached legislation required to be submitted with the grant application for the above referenced project. With the grant application needed to be completed in 30 days, I request that City Council approve and pass the attached resolution on first reading so that the grant submittal process may proceed. Please let me know if you have any further questions.
Thank you. Move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 10, Resolution 2023-50, a resolution to take effect immediately authorizing the mayor to execute on behalf of the City of Lakewood, a public entity established under the laws of the State of Ohio, an application and to file it in the appropriate state office for the purpose of obtaining certain federal financial assistance under the Disaster Relief Act or otherwise available from the President's Disaster Relief Fund.
I'll move to adopt.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 11, communication from Director Leininger regarding the City of Lakewood ADA self-evaluation and transition plan.
Director Leininger.
Good evening, Council President Linton and members of City Council. In September of 2020, the City of Lakewood initiated the development of an Americans with Disabilities Act self-evaluation and transition plan and created an ADA transition plan task force to assist in the creation of a framework to complete the evaluation and plan. After a nearly 2-year-long process involving multiple public meetings, surveys, numerous stakeholders through the ADA Transition Plan Task Force, the ADA plan is complete. The overarching priorities of the plan include prioritize the implementation of the plan using the facility evaluations provided by the city's consultant, DLZ, and the metrics provided to incorporate recommendations into capital project plans as they develop. Continue to increase ADA compliance across all city departments and facilities by providing ongoing training to city staff. Focus on facilities that are high use to the public, serving many residents and city visitors by removing the largest obstacles and producing the biggest impact for the most people. And finally, utilize existing resources for proper interpretations and application, particularly the ADA toolkit provided by the consultant and free technical assistance and training for city staff and residents offered by the ADA Access Board and the Great Lakes Access Center, to name a couple of resources. We respectfully request this consideration of this resolution as the first step to move the ADA self-evaluation and transition plan towards implementation. And Mr. President, I'd also note, you see Michelle Nocta and Andy Fleck's name on this. They're not here this evening, but they were really the leaders of this effort over the last 2 years, along with, I see at least one member of the ADA Transition Plan Task Force here in the audience. It was really through their leadership and guidance that we were able to get to this night, to get to this point this evening. So thank you to everybody for your involvement. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I'll first move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion or questions for Director Leininger? Vice President Keppel?
I just want to take the opportunity to thank the Planning Department and the ADA Transition Plan Task Force volunteers. It's been a lot of hard work and dedication, many meetings and hours, and really thoughtful dialogue about this important topic. So I just want to thank them all for their service, and really excited to see this start to take off. It's been a long time coming, it's overdue, and it's exciting to see it move forward, and it's a credit to this administration, this council, that we're finally doing what we should be doing. So excited to see it move forward.
Thank you. I agree. Any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion to receive and file. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 12, Resolution 2023-51, a resolution to take effect immediately, adopting the City of Lakewood ADA self-evaluation and transition plan.
Move to refer to Health and Human Services Committee.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. And before I get into discussion, we do have one individual signed up to comment publicly. And Ami Young, would you like to come up to the podium?
There's a
I'll
hand.
come up next to the podium instead of behind it. I just wanted to be present. to
My
every-
apologies. State your name and address for the record,
I
if you
am
don't
so
mind.
sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Ami Young. I live on Victoria Avenue, and I am the co-chair of the ADA Task Force, along with Tracy Goldberg, who could not be here tonight. And I just wanted to express my gratitude to our city leadership for making sure that this was an example of nothing about us without us. 3 of us on the task force have obvious disabilities, and I don't know or would not disclose if there's invisible disabilities amongst the other members of the task force. This process was my first time being on a city-side committee, and it was so wonderfully empowering that it serves as a reason to invite other people to be involved in this process. I sincerely hope that you take our task force recommendation to also have an ongoing citizen advisory committee of some type that includes disabled people in making sure that this gets implemented in a continuing to be nothing about us without us way. And so that other municipalities can use Lakewood as an example of how to do this in right relationship with our citizens. It has been such a wonderful experience, and I treasure the relationships that I've developed through this. So thank you. And I love interacting with Mr. Berry, so I'm glad if it winds up being in his department and that facilitates more interactions, that's lovely to me too.
Well, thank you for your service and.
Oh, and do you have any questions for me?
Sure. And my colleagues may, I just want to thank you for your service on the committee and for your hard work in pulling it all together. And there's more work to be done, and I'm sure we'll accomplish what we need to together. Colleagues, any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion to refer to Health and Human Services? Vice President Keppel.
So I would be delighted to have this in my committee, as you can imagine. But I also wonder if we might want to think about doing this in committee of the whole, only because there will be significant financial aspects of this. When you dig into the plan, there's a lot of public works projects that'll be impacted. There's going to be human resources in terms of staff training. It's going to touch across a lot of departments. And so I just wonder if it's a good idea and if also to do it in committee of the whole, although I suppose if my colleagues will commit who are not on Health and Human Services to joining us for those discussions, we could also have it there too.
I mean, I don't mind. I'll amend, put it this way, I'll amend my motion to refer this resolution to committee of the whole.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the topic? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 13, communication from Director Vargo regarding the settlement of potential litigation.
Director Vargo.
Thank you, Council President Litton and members of City Council. Chief Assistant Law Director Ms. Swallow and City Engineer Mark Papke have negotiated a tentative financial settlement with an engineering firm to resolve a pending dispute regarding services. Under the settlement, under the tentative settlement, the city is to receive the amount of $400,000 from the firm. But that settlement is subject to council's approval under our ordinances. We request that this matter be referred to the committee of the whole or any committee you deem appropriate, Mr. President, for discussion of the proposed settlement terms. Questions regarding the reasons or the basis or the legal analysis behind the settlement would be appropriate for executive session at that time. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you, Director Vargo. I'll first move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr.
Hearing
President.
none. Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Councilman Buller.
appreciate that it's to receive, not to expend $400,000 as part of the settlement, which is.
Sounds like a boat's worth, at least.
That helps. And I do think it would be helpful to get a briefing in the appropriate context to understand, the number, why the number is the amount the city is willing to accept and recommends that we be accepting. I think that would be helpful to understand all that context. Thanks.
Thank you. Once again, on the motion to receive and file, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 14, Resolution 2023-52, a resolution to take effect immediately, authorizing the mayor or director of law to enter into an agreement with an engineering contractor of the city to accept the amount of $400,000 for the full and final settlement of all claims under the contractor's agreement.
Move to refer to committee of the whole.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 15, communication from Chief Dunphy regarding Fire Prevention Week 2023.
Chief Dunphy.
still working on the boat thing. I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. Dear members of council, attached, please find a resolution for your consideration proclaiming October 8th to the 14th, 2023 as Fire Prevention Week. I know that was last week. This year's theme is Cooking Safety Starts With You. Pay attention to fire prevention in cooperation with the National Fire Protection Association. We will be working to educate everyone about simple but important actions they can take to keep themselves and those around them safe. Lakewood firefighters will be visiting each elementary school to interact with and educate the children from kindergarten to 5th grade. The Lakewood Fire Department will also be making several social media posts throughout the Fire Prevention Week in an effort to reach as many citizens as possible. Fire Prevention Week provides the Lakewood Fire Department with the opportunity to educate all the citizens of Lakewood in fire and life safety. In addition, raising community awareness in fire and life safety can result in a reduction of our community's risk, thus saving lives and preventing injuries. Thank you for consideration.
Thank you. I'll move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded, and I just want to say what a great essay the young man wrote. We ought to get him up here to read it at council too at some point or something along that line, but really appreciate everything that goes into a week like this, even though, yes, technically the week has already passed. I felt more aware, as I'm sure others did as well. On the motion to receive and file, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 16, Resolution 2023-53, a resolution to take effect immediately, declaring October 8th, 2023 through October 14th, 2023, Fire Prevention Week 2023.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 17, liquor permit notice regarding BMCW Club LLC at 13741 Madison Avenue.
I'm not sure we have a report for this one as yet.
Well, we've yet to receive the report, Council President, so
Okay.
we'll just
All
defer
right.
that.
Thank you. Then I will move to defer. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes.
Item 18, communication from Human Services Director Barry regarding Title III of the Older Americans Act 2024 proposal.
We put you at the end again, Director Barry, sorry.
Always. First, I'd like to thank President Litton, Clerk Bach especially, and the members of the administration that helped get this on the docket tonight. We had a little snafu with the communication that the RFP had been released, so we're just trying to catch up with that. But dear members of council, the Department of Human Services Division of Aging will be submitting a proposal to the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging for Title III funding, which will support ongoing community-based senior services for the 2024 program year. This RFP must be submitted by October 20th, 2023. Therefore, I have attached for your consideration an emergency resolution authorizing the mayor or designee to submit the proposal, a requirement of the request for proposal, and to enter a contract for services upon receipt of the grant award. The Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging has been our valued partner for over 44 years, particularly in the areas of senior nutrition and transportation. In 2023 year-to-date, the 9,807 one-way trips to seniors and over 21,000 home-delivered and congregate meals, missing part of that sentence. These services receive financial or material support through this Title III program and remain invaluable to Lakewood residents over the age of 60. I respectfully request your approval to meet the October 20th deadline. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to receive and file that communication.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 19, Resolution 2023-54, a resolution to take effect immediately, authorizing the mayor or designee to apply for and enter into an agreement with the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging for Title III of the Older Americans Act Senior Community Services for the 2024 program year.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Just want to mention something I said at the top of the docket, that adding items to our agenda within 24 hours is an extreme rarity. I don't know that we've done it in my time on council, but when it's for the purpose of expediting our ability to apply for and receive funds, especially for our aging community, I see that as both important enough and also, not getting around what I think the purpose and the spirit of that tradition of 24 hours intends. So with that, if I haven't already, move to adopt. I did already.
Second.
And I think it was seconded again. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. And with that, we are at the conclusion of our docket, however amended. And are there any individuals signed up for public comment? Okay. With that, any announcements from the administration? Director Dillinger, you haven't gotten to speak yet, so you might as well.
Yes, I wanted to contribute something fun to this
Exactly.
evening. So since we don't have another meeting prior to October 28th, I wanted to share that the city is going to be helping the Lakewood seniors raise some money for prom. We have put together a voluntary basketball team that will be playing the elementary school teachers Saturday, October 28th at 6 p.m. at the high school. We did it last year. We did not win, so we're hoping for a victory this year.
They traded me last year.
I think you got recruited is what happened. But we actually have someone almost from every department participating in the game. So if you have time, you can come out, you can come watch us. I will be coaching since I am unable to play this year. But it's a nice fundraiser for seniors to raise money for prom. So if you can join us on October 28th at 6 p.m., you can root us on or make fun of us, whatever you choose.
I was cut freshman year. I'm not sure I'm quite made out.
But it'll be a fun evening. So even if you want to just come help the seniors raise some money, you can buy a ticket and come support. So just wanted to let you know.
Thank you for that. Vice President Keppel, you have an announcement?
Oh, well, I just wanted, we have the, Director Leininger, isn't the Madison Park public meeting tomorrow,
Yeah, tomorrow,
4:30?
I
Is that right?
believe so, but I want to be accurate.
Okay.
Uh,
The Madison Park Master Plan.
Master plan at 3:30 tomorrow at the Madison Park Pavilion.
3:30, to be clear? 3:30, thank you. All right, that's very important. Any other comments or updates?
Mr. President?
Councilman Baker.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Chief Dunphy and the fire department. They invited council members and some administration folks to a training they had out at Tri-C on an active burn building. It was really great to see kind of the training that we do to make sure that, our staff is well-equipped and able to handle those situations. So appreciate the chief inviting us out.
Thank you. Seeing and hearing no further business for this council, I'll move to adjourn.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.